Hi, I just wanted to bring up something interesting that I found while reading over some news articles concerning the earthquake in Northern California today. It's not the earthquake that the Lord has warned me about. I live in Southern California, and I didn't feel that earthquake at 3-something this morning. Many people did, and let's continue to pray for those people and the ones that have damage to their homes and that had to evacuate their homes, and the ones that are injured. But the one that the Lord has warned me about that's coming to California, He didn't give me the size, the city, or the date. So I don't have a magnitude for you. The Lord only told me that it was coming, and He told me back in September, He gave me an auditory word before I awoke one morning that He said, your legs will feel like Jell-O and it will be hard to stand. And so I've mentioned that in my update to Great California Earthquake coming at the 9-minute and 48 second mark. And so I'll leave a link to that. And it was just ironic because I was looking over the news, reading the news articles about the earthquake this morning that hit Northern California, and I ran into these two articles right after each other, and they both mention feeling like Jell-O concerning the large quake that's coming to California. So I just thought that was very interesting and confirming. I've been teased from some people for saying, oh, God would never use the word Jell-O. Well, He speaks to us, and He speaks to us in our language, and why would He not compare the feeling of how large the quake's going to be in terms and metaphors, or words that we can understand. So anyways, in this article, When Will the Big One Strike California, written on April 19th, 2014, it was written by Francis Weaver. It says, sometime in the next 30 years, and as soon as tomorrow, with about 300 large fault lines running beneath it, California is one of the most seismically active parts of the world and has 37,000 tremors a year. Most are too small to be felt, but seismologists believe a couple of fault lines in particular, including the much dreaded San Andreas, which is about 800 to 900 miles long. It starts from Baja California, Mexico, and runs all the way underneath the very west of California, up past the San Gabriel mountain range and to the east of those, and then up to through mid-central California, and then out towards San Francisco and Sacramento and out into the ocean. So going back to the article, it says, including the much dreaded San Andreas, could trigger a mega quake similar to the one that flattened San Francisco in 1906, wiping out entire neighborhoods in seconds. Today, geologists say there's a 99.7% chance of a big one of at least a magnitude 6.7 striking California within the next 3 decades, with Southern California most at risk. Fears that a big quake is imminent in Los Angeles were stoked in March when 2 earthquakes, including a 5.1 in La Habra, cracked walls, triggered landslides, and sent furniture flying. Sooner or later, there's going to be the big one, says U.S. Geological Survey seismologist Kate Hutton. And then there was a 4.7 in Orange County as well. You would see buildings collapse. You would see people trapped. You'd see roadways collapse, said Kelly Huston of California's Office of Emergency Services. You'd see widespread destruction under the USGS crisis scenario for a magnitude 7.8 trembler in Southern California. The soil-filled Los Angeles basin would turn into a violently trembling Jell-O, causing major highways and airport runways to buckle, water and sewer pipes to crack, electrical and gas lines to sever, and thousands of fires to break out across the region. Those blazes could then be whipped into a frenzy by the Santa Ana winds. Fiber optic cables running across San Andreas would be torn apart, and infrastructure would take months, if not years, to repair. The hospitals would be swamped by 50,000 injured people, and at least 1,800 would die. And then it goes on, and I'll leave the link to this. But it says the LA basin would turn into a violently trembling Jell-O. And I live about 60 to 70 miles northeast of Los Angeles, on the other side of the mountain range. So I'm not in the basin. But interesting, nevertheless, that the Lord had told me in September, your legs will feel like Jell-O and it will be hard to stand, referring to the magnitude, the size of the earthquake that's coming, that I will feel here in Southern California. So it's not the one that happened. It's still to come. And when I looked on Richter scale readings and charts that showed the level of intensity of the earthquakes and the effects of such, the closest I could come up to with people saying and reading past, after the Lord had told me that, reading past articles about the Northridge one, that was a 6.8, people even in the Northridge at 6.8 said it felt like their legs were Jell-O. So, all very interesting, and so that means to me it's going to be a high 6 or higher, or it could be a higher one and further away from me. I don't know. All I know is that I'm going to feel it, and it's going to feel like Jell-O, and it's going to be hard to stand. And then this article, when will the big one earthquake hit California? It may be sooner than you think, by Lulu Chang on Bustle News, which was written today. On Sunday morning, California was unceremoniously awoken by the largest earthquake to hit the Bay Area in 25 years. But as damaging as the 6.0 trembler was, scientists fear that it will pale in comparison to the big one, a hypothetical earthquake with the potential to nearly wipe out parts of the state. And with this latest jolt of seismic activity, many California residents are worried that the big one, affectionately nicknamed the BO for big one, is coming and coming soon. While the BO remains a purely speculative event, it is certainly much more than a figment of science fiction-prone imagination. Several hundred scientists have spent the last year researching and preparing for an earthquake crisis, one that they believe has the capacity to strike sometime between tomorrow and 30 years from now. Although the time window hasn't been entirely nailed down, Mother Nature isn't the most punctual guest. Scientists and researchers are united in their conclusions about the BO's effects. Los Angeles and the surrounding areas in Southern California will be transformed into a bowl of violently trembling Jell-O. Infrastructure will break down and fires will rage across the region. It is estimated that the BO, if and when it arrives, will claim about 1,800 lives. So she was obviously citing some of the facts that this other writer had written. So if you go on, that has more information in there, more statistics from other articles in here. It's estimated the BO is hypothetical of 8 or greater that's expected to happen along the San Andreas Fault. Okay, and given that 5 earthquakes shook the state in the first 5 months of 2014, which is record-breaking in itself, and each of them registered above a 4, many geologists believe that these smaller tremors serve as a prelude to a giant earthquake. What's more, California is more than a century overdue for one of those monster quakes, and scientists are 99.7% certain that it will happen within the next 3 decades. So they believe that these 5 that have happened in 2014 are a prelude to a giant earthquake. Now, this was written today. It wasn't something that I could have read back in September or October. So I'm going to leave the links to those in my text box. And I just thought it was very interesting and confirming that they both mentioned that the ground would feel like Jell-O, because the Lord told me your legs will feel like Jell-O and it will be hard to stand. So I know that it's going to be a large quake. It's going to be something that Southern California feels. I will feel it, and I'm 60, 70 miles northeast of Los Angeles, and I'm going to be here to feel it. And I believe it's soon. So I just wanted to give you that update and ask that you pray and pray for yourself if you're in California, and be prepared and ask for protection. And if you don't live here, pray for us. And I thank you for listening. God bless.